In this video, I want to work through an example of filling out Form 8962 for the premium tax credit. This is going to be a relatively simple example. I'm going to be filling it out for a single person who had uniform coverage throughout the entire course of the tax year. So if you have a more complicated scenario, or if you're married, if you have dependents, if you changed coverage throughout the year, you changed jobs, all of these sorts of different variations that you can have that can affect this form, I will link some helpful information down in the video description from the IRS that goes through examples of all these different types of scenarios. So again, it can be helpful information, and I'll link it down in the video description. But I just want to run through this example here of a single person. So starting off here at the top line, the name that's shown on your tax return, we're going to write John Doe with our social security number. And then moving on, since this is a single person, we don't need to check this box that says you cannot take the premium tax credit if your filing status is married filing separately unless you qualify for an exception. So see the instructions for that one. Now moving down to part one. And before I get into part one, the fact that I'm doing an example for a single person, not married, or some of these other variations, this example, I'm not going to have to fill out part 4 or part 5, but you'll find helpful information on that over in the instructions. I'll just quickly pull up the instruction page here that you can also get online, and I'll link this instruction page down in the video description, but it's pretty lengthy. There's a lot of information here, but some of it is obviously very helpful in filling out this form, and we're going to go through the instructions and helping us fill out certain parts of this form. So moving back to the original form here. All right, so part one, tax family size, since it's a single person, already got it typed in there, just 1. And then the modified adjusted gross income. So this is where you're going to enter that particular number. See instructions to calculate your adjusted gross income. So we're going to go back to the instruction page here and go down. And you're going to go through this process here to calculate your adjusted gross income. After you find that out, you're going to go back and fill that in. So we're going to go back to the previous form. And for this example, just going to do a simple $20,000 for that adjusted gross income. If it lets me type it in, there we go. Okay, enter the total number of dependents, modified adjusted gross income. I'm not having any independents for this example, just a single person, so leave that box blank. And then your household income, you're going to add the amounts from 2A and 2B. Simple enough, just going to be $20,000. And now moving down to line 4, the federal poverty line. Enter the federal poverty line amount from table 11, 12, or 13. See instructions. Check the appropriate box for the federal poverty table used. So we're going to say that this person lives in a state other than Alaska and Hawaii. And then we're going to go over and look at the instruction page. Okay, so table 11 is the federal poverty line for the 48 contiguous states, that's a hard word to say, and the District of Columbia. If your family size was 1, which it was in our case, then the amount that we're going to enter in line 4 is going to be $11,880. So going back. Okay, and then number 5 here, household income as a percentage of federal poverty line. See instructions. All right, so we're going to go back to the instructions here and go down to line 5. All right, guys, I brought up the calculator here. Going to line 5, we're going to have to do a calculation. So first it says enter the amount from line 3 of Form 8962. So that's going to be $20,000. And then it says enter the amount from line 4. That's going to be $11,880. And then it says multiply that number, 11,880, by 4. So we're going to do that here. That's 47,520. And then the next step here, it says, is the amount on line 1 more than the amount on line 3? And the answer would be no, because on line 1 we had 20,000, on line 3 we have 47,520. So It's no, so we're going to divide the amount on line 1 by the amount on line 2. So do not round, instead multiply this number by 100 to express it as a percentage, and then drop any numbers after the decimal point. So our line 1 number was 20,000, and we're going to divide that by 11,880. Oops. And that gets us 1.683, and it says do not round, instead multiply by 100, so we're going to do that. And that gets us 168 as our final number here. So at this point, I'm going to close out of our calculator. And then we're going to go back to our worksheet. And on our worksheet, it says household income as a percentage of federal poverty line. So that's going to be 168%. Did you enter 401% on line 4? See instructions if you entered less than 100%. We entered more than 100%. So our first check is going to be no, continue to line 7. If it's yes, it says you are not eligible for the premium tax credit. So if you respond that you are over 401%, then you're not going to be able to get the premium tax credit. But since we're below that 401%, we're going to go down to line 7 here, and it says applicable figures using your line 5 percentage. Locate your applicable figure on the table in the instructions. So we're going to go back to the instructions and go down. That was on line 7. So go to this table here, and we got 168. So our number is 0.0493. So we're going to type that number in here, 0.0493. And then going down to 8A, it says annual contribution amount, multiply line 3 by line 7, round to the nearest whole dollar amount. So we're going to take line 3, which is 20,000, and multiply it by line 7, which is 0.0493, and that's going to get our 8A. So we're going to bring up the calculator again, and we're going to take that 20,000 and multiply it by line 7, which is 0.0493. And that gets us 986. So we're going to type that in here. And then 8B, it says monthly contribution amount. Divide line 8A by 12, round to the nearest whole dollar amount. So we're going to divide this number by 12. That gets us about 82, and it says round to the nearest whole dollar, so that's going to just be 82. Okay, so now we're done with part 1, and we're going to head on down here to part 2. All right, so starting here with part 2, are you allocating policy amounts with another taxpayer? Since we're doing an example for someone that is single, we're going to go ahead and click no, which says continue to line 10. If you go to yes on this, you have to skip to part 4, allocation of policy amounts, or part 5, alternative calculation for year of marriage. But like I said, not going to apply to us. So going down to line 10, it says, see the instructions to determine if you can use line 11 or must complete lines 12 through 23. So we're going to go back over to the instructions. All right, so back on the instruction sheet here for line 10, it says, read the following instructions to determine whether you should check yes or no. So starting off here, if you were enrolled in a qualified health plan for fewer than 12 months during 2017, check no and continue to lines 12 through 23. Full year coverage with no changes on Form 1095A, Part 3, columns A or B, then you can check yes. And at the beginning of this, I said that I'm doing an example where the person had the same coverage throughout the entire year. So that's going to allow us to click yes, but I'm going to go over to that form here. So 1095A, if lines A and B, I believe is what it said. Let's go back here just for a second. It says part 3, columns A or B, had no changes on the form, then you can click yes. So going over here to part 3 and then line A and B of this particular form, 1095A, if they're all uniformly the same, then you are going to be able to enter your annual totals in line 11. So we're going to go back. All right, so just to recap this, see the instructions, and the instructions showed us that we are going to be able to continue to line 11, computing your annual PTC. Then you can skip lines 12 through 23, which is really nice because it makes it so you don't have to enter in a ton of information if you have the same coverage throughout the entire year. That's going to be pretty nice for those that are able to do that. And moving on down to those annual totals. So starting off here, annual enrollment premium from that form 1095A, line 33A. So I'm going to go back to that particular form. Okay, line 33A, and then we're going to just do the annual totals on this form that you have, that you got personally. Don't have anything written down here, but just as an example here for this video, we'll write down the annual total being, let's say, $3,000. So we're going to enter that in back on the previous page. So the annual enrollment premium for this person was $3,000. Annual applicable SLCSP premium, and this is going to be from that form we just came from. We'll go back to it real quick. This is going to be part 3, section B, line 33. So that's going to be this area right down here that you're going to get that information from. And for the purposes of this video, we're going to say that that annual total is going to be $5,000. So we're going to go back to our previous page and type in $5,000. In part C here, it says the annual contribution amount in line 8A. So you can see right up here, line 8A has 986. So we'll type that in. And then part D here, it says annual maximum premium assistance. So subtract C from B. And that should be pretty simple. I can do that in my head. That's going to be 4,014. Annual premium tax credit allowed, the smaller of A or D. So in this case, D is 4,014, A is 3,000. So we're going to type in 3,000. And then annual advance payments of premium tax credit form. So again, going back to 1095A, line 33C, we'll bring that up. So that's going to be this area right here. For the purposes of this video, we're going to use 2,000 for that number. Let me just stick some commas back in here. Okay, so now we're done with line 11. That's great. After doing line 11, it says up here we can skip lines 12 through 23. And then go down to line 24. So down in line 24, it says your total premium tax credit, enter the amount from line 11E or add lines 12E through 23E. So 11E is going to be 3,000. Advance payments of premium tax credit, enter the amount from 11F, which is going to be 2,000. And then 26, net premium tax credit. If line 24 is greater than line 25, then subtract line 25 from line 24. Enter the difference here, and on form 1040, line 69, form 1040A, line 45, or form 1040NR, line 65. If line 24 equals line 25, enter 0, stop here. If line 25 is greater than line 24, then leave this blank and continue to line 27. And for this example, we're not going to have to repay excess advance payment of the premium tax credit, so we don't need to fill out these lines either. And like I said, we don't need to fill out part 4 or part 5 for this example. So that's going to wrap up this particular form. Again, guys, like I said, this is a relatively easy example of how to fill out form 8962. Like I said, there are tons of different variables that you can potentially have in this form, like being married, getting married, having dependents, changing coverage throughout the year, changing jobs, which allows you to get different coverage as well. And again, I'm going to link down what I hope are some helpful resources in the video description from the IRS that go through basically every single potential example that you can have and information on how to fill out this form as a result of that. So thanks for stopping on in. I hope this video was helpful to you, and subscribe for more. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you back here for future videos.